God's working on me.
It's just you can't expect these men that are 20, 30 years older than you guys to be good quality men unless their wives died or something like that. But even then, I think it's weird that a man that's 20 years older than a woman would want her.
Reality of it is, all men find younger women more desirable. Simple. It's as simple as that. This is biological. We want a woman who's more fertile. That only comes with youth. We want a woman who's more agreeable and fitter, healthier. These all comes with youth.
Guys, Shannon Sharpe isn't alone. This is a pattern. This is a pattern that's out there. Men that are seeking control and manipulation over girls who clearly haven't lived yet. Let's get into it. We're back. Part 2. We're talking about the Shannon Sharpe situation. We've transitioned over to asking the question, why do men like very, very young women, young girls? Is it sexually only? Is it emotional reasons? Dominance? Let's talk about it. Welcome back to Can You Relate? I'm your host, Shannon P, and we're going to continue to dive deeper into the psychology of the whole scandal with Shannon Sharpe. Why do men like dating or messing with younger, very young girls? Is it sexually? That's a good question. Y'all know? Put it in the comment. Put it in the chat box. I don't think it's about love. I think it's about control. That's my opinion. You know, because young girls are often seen as very easy to impress. They are less likely to challenge the man, and they're more likely to idolize the power of an older man, or even just being with an older guy. You know, this man can have absolutely nothing going for himself, don't have no game, no money in the bank, no direction, no leadership, nothing. But because of his age and he's older, younger girls think that that's powerful, that they have pulled an older man or boy or what have you. Immaturity. And there are some men that prey on this, but it's a twisted form of power that some of these men have for choosing someone so young, inexperienced, just so that they can dominate them emotionally and mentally and even sexually, as we can tell from the Shannon Sharpe audios that we heard. You know, it is so much easier to impress a girl who hasn't lived rather than choose a partner, you know, or partner up with a woman who has standards. Older women usually have standards and will tell you no, you know. And some men are so physically grown but emotionally stunted that it is ridiculous. It is really sad. They may avoid mature women simply because mature women require depth, stability, real leadership, you know, because those men lack it, or something internally is going on with them that they don't want to mess with older women. So they seek the youth for validation, not connection at all. So, you know, a lot of these men will seek the youth not for any type of connection, just for validation. Listen, a mature man will seek a queen. A fragile one will seek a fan. Let that sink in. I don't know. What about the culture and the hypersexual activity that happens in our culture? We live in a culture that sexualizes youth, especially women of color. We need to talk about that, right? Why are we allowing this to be portrayed in movies and videos and films and magazines? even some of these platforms, girls are taught to be desirable at a very young age, and they're not even legal adults. Let's talk about that. And men, they are rarely challenged when their desires become inappropriate, as long as it's legal. We have to talk about legal age. Well, what's legal? Well, what's inappropriate? Okay? That's if you wouldn't want someone to do it to your daughters or your sisters, you should not be doing it to someone else's daughters or sisters. That is predatory behavior. That you're just disguising it as preference. It's not preference, it's predatory behavior. Let's talk about that. Let's call a spade a spade. Predatory grooming and exploitation is continuing to happen in a lot of these scandals that are coming up. In many cases, it's not just desire. Oh, I just like no, you want younger girls because you like, it's called grooming. Okay. Older men may deliberately be seeking out these girls with low self-esteem, father wounds, financial insecurity, what have you, just to get them to obey and be a fan. They present themselves, as the saviors, only to become silent abusers of power. They don't want love. They want to control these girls. And the youth is so much easier to manipulate. They just are. This is why I try to stay in my girls' ears, right? I try to be an example and I stay in their ears. This game ain't new. It's just more dangerous now that we have access to platforms that have DMs and instant chats and fake statuses and all of this stuff. And because the youth are on these platforms, it's just easier. And we have to take some type of accountability as a society, as a culture, as parents. We have to take some type of accountability ourselves for acts like this. Society lacks accountability right now, right? We often excuse men's bad behavior if they have fame, money, charisma, title. Shannon Sharpe isn't the first and only one. Many have gotten away with this for decades. P. Diddy isn't the only one. R. Kelly isn't the only one. Many people have gotten away with this. But that doesn't mean we have to stop holding the line. We as parents, especially the mothers, when we stop calling it preference and allowing men to call it preference and start calling it predation, then we can change the narrative. But right now, they're being predatories. It's a predatory act. This isn't attraction. This is access, grooming, and unchecked egos. Okay? So this isn't, like I said, just about Shannon. It's about every man who chooses someone young because it makes them feel powerful instead of purposeful. And it's on us as a community to name it, shame it, and change it. There was definite sexual motivations here. Absolutely. That's the reason why some older men like Shannon Sharpe, in this situation and context, pursue very young women.
You take a 40-year-old dude who got a couple of kids that's been married. He will never, ever be with another 40-year-old chick. It's not going to happen. Yeah. It just doesn't. It just does not. It just not. They go down, and they say, and the women say, "Well, what can she do for you? Fuck." Because guess what? A dude who got money don't care about nothing else.
While it's definitely, legal, it's still morally, wrong. They're exploiting these children. Let's name it for what it is. This has been a mix of power, psychological fantasy, and sexual exploitation. Let me tell you why there's some sexual implications behind the attraction of men liking very young girls. I don't know, do some history. The Virgin Madonna fantasy. I don't know if you guys ever heard about that, where some men are sexually drawn to young girls, the youth, because they have inexperience. You know, they associate that with purity, freshness, moldability. They could be molded. They've never been touched, you know. It feeds a twisted ego that she hasn't been touched. I'll be her first. I'll show her everything. I'll be her God, basically. No. And it's nothing to do with intimacy at all. It's about imprinting these young girls, these pure, fresh girls. Okay? It's not desire, it's dominance dressed up as desire. Culture. We come from a porn state culture. Modern pornography has glamorized the barely legal age. That whole genre, which trains males' brains to sexualize the youth and immaturity, it's been around for ages, for times. This fuels the craving for young girls, to look young, to act submissive, or to appear to be easily overtaken. That is a problem, because it spills into real life. And in real life, barely legal girls are still someone's daughters or sisters. When you consume a fantasy long enough, you start confusing exploitation with excitement. These young girls are often seen as less sexually demanding and less likely to voice needs, boundaries, or preferences. This is why a lot of older men seek them. They seek them out because of those things. Because, they don't want to be challenged in the bedroom or anywhere for that matter. They want someone who's submissive, willing, and able, and will let them talk to them any kind of way, handle them any kind of way, control them. It's definitely not that these type of men want sex. They just want control over the sex. Some type of sexual ego boost, being able to sexually attract a younger woman. Especially if the man is aging like Shannon Sharpe. This definitely fed his ego, his male ego. But it becomes, it's kind of like a trophy mindset. Look who I can pull. Well, I don't know if he's bragging about that one. But it's definitely rarely about connection. It's about conquest. Men without depth, without wanting to take a responsibility or accountability, they're going to seek someone who is more shallow, or someone who doesn't require much. I don't even want to say that they're shallow, but they don't know no better. They're too young, and they will not require much. They're just a fan. They're just excited and happy just to be in your presence. And maybe that's what guys like. Maybe that's what some guys need. But can we find that in women who are definitely older than 20, 19, are definitely more than, not more than half your age, but if you're Shannon Sharpe's age, pushing 60 or in your 60s, you definitely shouldn't be dating a woman under 30. And they can still be a fan. You could still have some type of connection there. You probably just won't be able to do everything you want to do. And I think that that's what a lot of these men fear. Is that what Shannon Sharpe feared? I don't know. And bottom line is, a lot of these young girls, are being sought out to be controlled. Sex for these older men is about power. And age has become a weapon. And there's too many grown men that are still getting off with being the biggest fish in the kiddie pool. That's where their mind is. That's where their psyche is. I'm the big fish in the kiddie pool. And our girls are suffering from it. They're being misused, mishandled, mistreated, misinformed. Where's the fathers at, you say? I'm glad you asked. That is my next question. Would they do this if there were more fathers present in the home? But we need to talk about it. Why do men desire younger women? Put your reason and your comments and your thoughts in the chat box and let me know why you think. And then I want somebody else to read your comment, and then I want them to respond to you. And then I'm going to respond to them. And then we're going to all be just talking about it in dialogue. And this is how this works. Because we're trying to be relatable. We're trying to see if we relate or we may not relate. And let's talk about why. Okay, so I want to leave you with this final thought.
Truth is, a lot of dudes who are like 45, 50 years old who refuse to date women their age, they don't do so because they prefer young women and how they look. Because let's be real, it's a lot of 40-something-year-old women that'll give these 20-something-year-old girls a run for their money. But it's because of the mental aspect. Like, as a guy gets older, the one who wants to play games, by the way, who's like 40-something, 50 years old, he remembers it being easier to play those games whenever he was like 20. Because women in that age group, they're more on hope than they are experience. But experience is the best teacher. So as he gets older and he's trying to date women his age, they're like, no. I've seen your kind before. Like, I've lived the proof that you're here to waste my time. And I ain't going. So now he gonna go out here talking about how he prefers younger women because older women his age are full of baggage and they're bitter. And it's like, nah, they ain't full of baggage and bitter. They have a BS detector, so they're harder to manipulate. And manipulative men don't like that.
Where?
M.A. Mason.